right, everyone. Welcome to Rhythm and Roads. I'm your host, Joshua Jacob. We have a very special guest. We have Deana Lee Ortega. She's an author and director of Walls and Bridges. And this is the series of Femme Frontera Film Festival interview series. So welcome, Deanna.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing your story. And I just want to say congrats on your film, Walls and Bridges, showing at the festival.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was a big surprise, and
Really?
I'm really grateful for it. Yeah.
I was going to ask you how you feel about that.
Um, I I'm grateful because it was my first try at something like this, like at film, and the way it came together, it was like an afterthought because I already had some interviews from doing a podcast during the pandemic.
Okay.
And it was a time where we, as skaters in roller derby, weren't able to play the game. And it brought like community and connection, um, at least for the people that I was interviewing, and just kind of talking about how we felt about derby and remembering why we wanted to skate and just giving each other some kind of hope that one day we will be able to do it again. It was really awesome. And there were so many profound like messages in all of these interviews. I just felt like I wish that more people could experience them. And this was a way for me to kind of showcase some of that,
Okay.
but I also had to figure out like a way to make it relevant to what's happening now.
Hmm.
So taking these interviews was and telling a story with them wasn't easy.
I
And I hope
bet.
I did a good job of it. And adding some B-roll to it. So yeah, it was almost like having a bunch of material and trying to make a dress, but not like being able to cut like these whole pieces out of it where you're like, oh, this is easy. I'm just going to put it together. No, it was like, this fits here. I can use this for that, so it
Yeah.
was challenging
Oh,
for
I
like
bet it was.
a yeah,
But here you are.
yeah.
But that's what we're going to get in the discussion about. It's just the journey of that, of the whole, the obstacles going through certain barriers, certain, the journey of that, because it's not always pleasant. So good thing that you mentioned that, because we're going to definitely be talking about that later. But we want to get to know you. I mean, I want to definitely want to get to know you and the viewers. And so, what's your background? What's your story of where you're from? And then we can jump into how you got started as an author and director.
I'm from El Paso, born and raised.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it here. There's been times where I've had to fall back in love with it, because a lot of other places can feel a little tempting.
Mm.
Um, um, but I do. I love my city. I love being a border girl. Um, I I guess I started writing. I think I've always written, but like I didn't decide to make like put together a book
Mm.
until like I did try to move away from El Paso, and um, I had to move back, and it was really hard. It felt like a whole 360 because I had done everything to like move, and when I came back or had to come back, I was like exactly in the same place that I was before I left.
Wow.
Like I had the same job, I was in my same apartment. Like I was like, I did so much to shift something, and I'm exactly where I started 3 months ago. And it was like, what am I gonna do? What am
Wow.
I gonna do? Like I just needed something, uh, I just needed something. And I was like, you know, talking to creator, like, what am I gonna do? And something prompted, like I heard a voice about like my poetry, and I was like, oh, but that's just for me, and And it was like, no, nothing's just for you. Like your experiences are to be shared with others. It's kind of like a message.
Right.
And so I don't love my poems. They really are just journal entries, ways that I was feeling at the time. Um, but I just wanted to see if I could do it, and I did. And then I wrote another book about my roller derby experience called My Derby Romance. And then from there, the podcast happened. So that first book kind of just opened up like
Mm.
a way of me seeing what else I could do and what other ways I could tell a story. And then later discovering that I'm a storyteller and
Yeah.
being okay with saying that and accepting it and
Exactly.
finding just different ways, creative ways that I could do that.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. I do want to touch on the subject of what you mentioned on leaving El Paso to try to switch things around, and then you come back and you're almost in the same spot. I think a lot of us could relate to that, of not just probably El Paso, but certain spots in their life. It could be relationships, it could be jobs, it could be certain things that you try to better yourself, but then you're always finding yourself almost in a similar situation. And you're wondering, like, why am I always like either with this person that has similar personalities as my ex, or I go to this job, which is almost similar as my prior job. And the thing is, that you mentioned the creator, that you asked, and it's just like, I've been there too, where I've prayed and asked, and yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of El Paso because there are other opportunities outside of El Paso, but it is my hometown as well, I mean, I'm just saying there's other cities out there. I've lived in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've lived in other places, and you do see, what's out there. But, the thing is, like you mentioned, sometimes it's not about our story of what we're here. What we can do is also to help someone else's story and being a light, being just a blessing just by what we can do, what's around us, and that could even just change our perspective of where we live. As much as it's hard because you're kind of like, okay. But then once you actually start seeing, I guess, let me just share this and I'll let you, because it's not my interview, it's yours. But what I've noticed in my past is usually when you don't live in the moment and you're not in the moment and you're focused on what you don't have and you're focused on the future and you're focused on everything that's not where you're in the realm of where you're at, you miss out on so much little blessings of here and there, even just the smallest things. And then once you actually let yourself go and you let go and say, all right, Creator, God, I'm done. I give up. I surrender. I'm just fed up with it. Then your eyes start to open to where you're at in the moment. And you start to see little things like, I didn't ever notice that before, where I'm at. I never noticed this. I never noticed that. And then life becomes a different chapter of your story because you let go to let life show you things that were always there, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, two things that I think of from what you were saying. Um, I believe a lot in vibration. And so like when you're tuned into a vibration where like I hate it here, there's
Mhm.
nothing to do here, you're going to meet people that hate it here and are going to agree with you. So one thing that I believe a lot in like confession and affirmation and
Mhm.
speaking blessings. Um and I was speaking blessings even if back then I was faithful, but I was faithful that I wasn't supposed to be here. So, you know, one thing that spoke to me that I had heard was that a confession that I was doing every morning was, I'll bloom where I'm planted. No
Mhm.
matter what, I'll bloom where I'm planted.
Wow.
And I said that for a long time. And and I started to see it manifest. So tuning into that, I I started meeting other people who were blooming here and meeting people that I didn't even know we're here. I thought I'd met everybody in El Paso already.
That's funny.
I was wrong. And then just meeting more people regionally, right? Like in Las Cruces and Juarez, and people who were also enjoying life where they were. But that was that shift of like being on a different vibration where people were like enjoying their experiences more, being more creative.
Mm.
Um, I work a lot now in like food sovereignty and food systems and working on I started working on a farm in Anthony,
Oh, you did?
and
Oh, nice.
yeah, I work for La Semilla, and just connecting with my ancestry and culture helped a lot too, knowing that I am a woman of the desert and I should be proud of that and wanting to highlight that, and that also helped with walls and bridges as well. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Us us desert plants are very resilient and almost aggressive, right? Like, you fall down climbing these mountains and something's gonna, rip you apart, right? Like
yeah.
those spiny, plants, and they're not that friendly. They can be, and they're very resourceful, but like I also was imagining us as skaters being like very, very aggressive, but very nurturing at the same time.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Wow. That's interesting that you put that out like that about the desert. Yeah, the plants and all that. Yeah, it's true. I mean, um, I guess like a rose, right? It has the thorns on it, but then it's
Mhm.
beautiful. So there's always a bit of that half and half of it. Yeah, interesting. But yes, that's true. And I've noticed that. I've actually been there where I lived in Albuquerque for a little bit, or Rio Rancho for maybe about 6 months. Very short. But as I was there, I knew it like after maybe 3 months, I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. And I feel like there's that tug of like you're not meant to be here. And you start to feel kind of empty a bit. You start to feel kind of like, okay, I know 3 months is not a whole lot of time, but sometimes life's like, hey, we don't have time to waste. You're not meant to be here. They don't want not like, okay, give it like a year or two. No, life's not like, hey, you're not meant to be here. We're gonna give you the signs and the red flags. So why? And so when I removed myself from Rio Rancho, not that it's a bad place, it just wasn't meant to be there. I actually enjoyed it. I loved what they had to offer, but just that's not where I was planted or where I was supposed to be planted. So when I moved back to El Paso, which was last year in December, like you mentioned, it just starts to open up more with opportunities that I didn't have before, like in Las Cruces, surrounding areas. I was like, dang, I wasn't like this when I was in Rio Rancho, so it's very interesting, right?
I like to leave and I always come back inspired. I love Albuquerque, by the way. I really
Yeah.
do. I've thought about maybe later when, if time and space permit, that would be a nice place to go. But
Yeah, yeah.
they have, I really like being close to water. And
Oh
I think
wow,
that's what I
okay.
miss the most here is like I don't even need a lot of water. I just want like some water. But yeah, I do love to visit places, and I always come back ready to do something new, whether it's like a new aesthetic in my home or like how do I bring that feeling
Right,
into my life where I don't feel like I have to leave.
right.
Um, I can carry that with me. I can create that here without necessarily having to like leave everything that I love here, and um so I have tried to do that, make my life a place that I don't have to escape from, but
So
it is nice to be inspired. Sorry.
no, no, that's fine. I just want to ask you, like, where does your heart, or where do you feel that you really would like to be at? Like, is it Albuquerque? Is it like Seattle, somewhere where there's water? I don't know. Like, just asking.
Yeah, like I would love a lake house in Austin. My family, a lot of my family lives in Austin, and that's where I
Oh, they
tried to
do.
move.
Okay.
Hmm Uh, and I also love California.
Oh,
I
yeah.
always I feel at home in California. I didn't grow up there. I didn't come back. I came back very young, but
Oh,
I spent my first like 5 years there. And they say like those are like more like your core memories, like your first 7 years. So like whenever I'd go, I'd be like, why does it feel like home? Like I go maybe once a year or once every other year. And just one day I remembered like you spent your first like 4 years here. I came back when I had my fifth birthday party here back at home,
okay.
and I was like, so I can see where this feels very like familiar to me,
Mm,
so
yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't be able. I mean, I shouldn't say that, but I know it's really not that easy to live in California, but it's a really nice place to visit.
Of course, yeah. I'm actually
Yeah.
going there this weekend.
Are you?
Yeah, for my brother's birthday. He lives in La Mirada, California, which is near Anaheim. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way, Deanna. Like when I'm out there in California and I go to the beach and just walk the pier and the way you feel the breeze at night, I'm like, God, man, I don't want to
I
leave.
love the beaches.
Oh
Yes,
my God. Like I don't want
I
to come
love
home.
it. Yeah, I
Just a
just
different
and
experience.
we don't spend a lot of money over there, because me
Yeah.
and my kids will go to the beach and we'll eat like out once like a day that we're there, like have one good meal or
In and out.
yeah, they have In-N-Out in Austin too, so
Well,
we'll
that's
go
true. They
there.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, for sure. Like, we'll do they have because I like well, obviously I like to skate.
Right.
So they have some really cool like just skating Santa Monica, Venice
Yeah,
Beach, all the way
Venice.
to Santa Monica. It's like so
Oh,
fun. Like, and it's not like I can do outdoor stuff here too, but like it's just nice to have like that overcast and like the
right.
elements are easier
Right. Of
on you
course.
than it
Yeah.
is here.
And it's not as
You know?
extremely hot.
Yeah, because like I'm down to do some skate parks here, but you have to. I also like to sleep in, so it's like either I wake up early and skate, or I
Yeah.
get my rest. And over there, you can pretty much go out around any time and just go
I
have
totally
fun.
agree. Yes, any time
Mhm.
of the day, and it feels like the early morning.
I love that
Yeah.
all day mornings.
I
Hmm
got to say one thing. My uncle used to live in West Covina, and
hmm
when I would go visit him during like when I was a teenager and all that. One thing that really stuck with me was like when I would wake up at 6 in the morning, and and I was living in El Paso at the time, so I'd go visit him in West Covina, and so when I would wake up and just look outside. It was just like, was it like the mist or the fog or something? Like, and it was all cloudy. You know how beautiful that looked? Like, I looked out, I was like, God, that's just, and it's like hazy, misty, and it was just, I don't know. I'm just like, man, I would love to wake up to that every morning.
For sure. Like I love weather, like just weather in general,
Yeah.
right? Like going somewhere and like like June June in El Paso is really hard on me because it's like a cloudless month, you know what I mean? And like when I see like the cloud, I mean, I've noticed that, like I
Yeah.
very much have observed that. But like I love how beautiful our mountains look when we have weather, like when the clouds are rolling over them. Like El Paso can be so beautiful,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah.
there's just some months that like it's the desert and things move so slowly in the desert that it almost looks like nothing changes. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
is moving, but the plants grow slower, you know, everything shifts a little bit slower where when you go other places they have seasons and growth and you see like things changing, and I think that's where El Paso can get a little bit. It's not for like it's not easy. The desert's not an easy place to live. And so that's what makes us like so resilient as people, that we don't need all that. Like not that we don't like that, but like we can thrive even in something like that, where we have to motivate ourselves. We don't like wake up and be all like, "Oh wow, look at all this movement, water's moving." We don't see a lot of that like to
Right.
like inspire us,
Right.
and yet we're doing it, so that
Very
makes me feel a
true.
little good about it.
Yeah, that's a good point to make. That's very true on that. And I noticed when I lived in Rio Rancho, it was yeah, the seasons did come pretty quick. It
Hmm.
snowed a lot. The fall, the summer was it was different. I was like, and a lot of it was much greener,
Yes.
very green. I
Very
was like, wow.
green.
But all right, well, I really enjoyed that journey going to different cities with you, talking about them. That's cool. Um,
Nice.
no, it was good.
Glad.
I loved it. It was great. But I do
Mhm.
want to talk about your film, Walls and Bridges. So, what inspired you to write the story behind it? What's the story behind this?
Um, yeah, again, wanting to highlight some of the messages that I had gathered with this podcast, My Derby Romance.
Okay.
Uh, there was so many like stories I can tell. I have 27 interviews, and I could make like a series of like shows that are like roller derby and sobriety, roller derby and transgender, roller derby and community, but I wanted something that, like I said, was relevant to what's happening now. I wanted to highlight that, like, whatever the news says about being a border city and what's coming over, what's crossing back and forth, and the dangers of it, and
Mm.
all these things, that there's like this very like strong community that was like thriving and supporting each other, in this, and it was mostly like women, and it was happening here on the border. And so that was my message. I also talk a little bit about the support that we get as a league, as as a sport that's been here since 2008, that I helped start,
Oh, wow.
before there was Las Cruces League and a Juarez League. We
Okay.
started in 2008 on Donovan, in this little like venue that would leak when it would rain. I would love for it to rain and some ceilings to leak these days, but like,
Right.
um what's it called? So like, yeah, I've always been really passionate about it. Roller derby's been part of my life and my kids' lives since, my son was like 9 months old. So I just wanted to like show like how it's evolved and
Hmm.
how long it's been here, and how so many people don't know that there's roller derby in El Paso. Like
I didn't even know.
I get that a lot, and it's just like, it's disheartening because there's two leagues.
Mm.
There's a bank track league and a flat track league. There's one in Las Cruces that is trying to get back together after the pandemic. It was a little hard for us to like get back into it, and it
Okay.
takes a lot of time and energy. And Juarez is thriving right now, and we have like these huge venues for like the Chihuahuas and the rhinos. And I mentioned like, how much do they give back to the community? How much, you know what I mean? Like, we've always had halftime shows with local bands, and it is, if anything speaks El Paso, it's roller derby. And we've been like gathering backpacks and pampers, and always picking some kind of charity to donate like a portion of our ticket sales to. And nobody even knows we're here, and it's just really
Wow.
sad. And I just wonder if it's um because we're women, you know I hate to say it like that, but it's just really what it is, you know
That's
what I mean? Like,
true.
and so that was one of the reasons. I also had like a way of how I wanted to portray roller derby. Um, I did things very intentionally. I didn't record any B-roll in a venue or on a
Okay.
track, um, because we've seen all that. Like,
Mm.
you can look up roller derby and you can see action shots. You can see tough girls, you know, making muscles and sticking their tongues out, and we've seen all that.
Right.
And it's cool, and that's how people portray roller derby, a bunch of girls who skate and hit each other. That's what people say, you know what I mean? Like, oh, is that, where you guys skate and you just hit each other? And and they call it roller blading, and it's not rollerblading, it's on quads. And so there was like I only had 15 minutes, which was really difficult to tell this story in 15 minutes. But or less, actually 15 minutes or less. And so yeah, there was a lot of education that I wanted to put into it, but I really had to just like allow the interviews to speak for themselves.
Mm,
And so it did, I
yeah.
think. And again, in doing in the making of the film, I did run into some obstacles where um, trying to explain what, with editors and cameramen about like, I don't want them to do that, or I don't want them to look
Mm,
like that. And don't tell them how to look strong. You know what I mean? Like if you say
absolutely.
like stand there and look strong, there's just a way that women empower like embody strength
Hmm.
than how men do, right? Like I feel like a woman knows that they're not going to intimidate you with their body. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to like puff up my chest, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a different way that women embody strength in my eyes, and I was telling the story. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and so like yeah, I'm not going to like show you my muscles. Like I'm
Yeah.
either gonna like outsmart you or I'm gonna outrun you,
Mm,
but I'm not gonna beat you up. Like, and so there was just like there's this there I realized in making this that a lot of derby footage and a lot of things are done through the male lens.
mm,
And yeah, we're strong and we do make mean faces when we're on the track, when we're hitting each other and stuff like that. But like a lot of the time when we're asking the girls like, look like a badass, look like this, look like that, they would like lift their heads like in a proud stature.
mm,
And it was like beautiful to me, and I wanted to capture that because that's a strong woman. It's
mm.
not,
Yeah.
we don't, if anything, we hide what our next move is. We don't put it out there, you know what I mean? Like with
Oh,
our,
that's true.
and so like, yeah, I love the snarl and I love those, all that, but I just wanted to do something more organic and
Yeah.
just something different that you haven't, like a side of roller derby women that you hadn't seen before. Like we've already seen like the torn fishnets and the, all I have. And so I just wanted to show uh, I wanted to show and empower these women in a different way.
Wow. And I have never seen a movie on roller derby or been to an event. But very true in what you're saying. Yeah, it's not about puffing yourself up, looking like the strong of what we men represent at times of that, but a different strength, from within, from the spirit from within of who you are as a woman. And it doesn't have to be by the muscles, doesn't have to be by a certain flex or it's just the strength of what you've been through in your life to where you're at to say this is who I am and I'm going to stand up and be proud of that. But
Mhm.
not sticking your chest out and being like puffed up. Just you see, like I think I've seen that where I've seen the strength of a woman where she didn't have to do that, and you're just like, wow, that's attractive. Just to have that confidence where you don't have to really say much, but you just know.
Yeah, yeah, you should, like you said, you shouldn't have to do that. You
No.
know what I mean? Like if you, yeah, for somebody to say like to have to coach me into like looking strong, knowing that I am strong is
Right.
like it's annoying. And being with my my friends or my peers as the derby community,
Hmm.
I knew that they were kind of excited about being filmed by a skater, somebody who's lived it and not, you know, um, yeah, my first shoot was a little difficult. I felt like there was a power struggle
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, and also like my friends were like, "Well, who do we listen to?" And um I got that there was like it was somebody who had a lot of experience, but
Mm,
I also had a vision and um my friends were annoyed. They didn't that was exactly what they weren't expecting and didn't want when they came to my first shoot, you know what I mean? And it was just like it was eye-opening. Um, and I had some friends say things like, well, sometimes, or not sometimes, just that like a lot of times guys think their ideas are better than girls' ideas and that Femme Frontera really like supporting me and saying that's why we're trying to offer more opportunities for women directors. And so I got to experience that firsthand. I was super excited for my first shoot and I was like, I'm gonna direct my film, and like it was just like, no, you're not. You
no.
know? And I was like, oh, I cried and
I'm
I got
sorry
over
you went
it.
through that, you know? I mean, as a project that you were looking forward to and starting and getting prepped up and all that, and then the day comes and you're like, I don't even feel like it wasn't even what I thought it was going to be. And I don't even have the
Yeah,
power to that I thought I had to just continue with it, you know?
I yeah, it was it was
Man,
it
can
was
imagine how you felt.
rough, but I'm glad that I got to see firsthand why it's so important to know uh how to be in this like industry
Hmm.
as a woman, and I can share that now with anybody else. And again, like I didn't feel like I needed to puff up my chest to be like I want to direct my film. And I was thinking of the best way to like approach that. And, I was like, would I have had to do that or feel like that or kind of like go through that in my head? Like, how am I going to, um, not be a bitch, but also say that, this is how I want
Right.
to do this. And it's like, do men have to think like that? Do male directors have to like walk onto their sets and be all like, hey, I'm kind of going to direct my film. You know what I mean? It was like something that I feel like I didn't like the experience, but it was something that I needed to experience to understand the difficulties
Wow.
um, of navigating this industry in this gender.
Right. Well, I'm actually going to be directing a project sometime soon.
Nice.
But
Congratulations.
well, it's actually my first. But
Wow.
I have a good support system, and so back to your question, and one thing I can't speak for every other director out there of that's a male or how they will go about it. But I feel like for me, it's not Joshua Jacob directing. It's Joshua Jacob and this person as my assistant director, and this person. It's a team, and so for me, I already explained to my crew. I said, or my team that's helping me direct, I said, I want you to be a part of it because I've seen your work. I want you to be a part of it. That way, when it's premiered and shown, it's not just Joshua Jacob directed it, it's me plus this person, because we're all a team to bring this picture out, this story. And I feel like that's important to me because I don't want to be like, okay, guys, I have shown up. I'm not saying this is how they are, but I'm not going to be taking over the whole entire thing and just being like, no, I just want it to be just based on me of who I direct, what I directed. And it's like, no, I want it to be a team where they feel, wow, this film was made by them, not him, you know? And that's my desire because I've been through it before with, and I'm just like, that's not who I am. I mean, yes, I want to lead, and then, it's also my project because I brought it up, but it's our project too. You're helping me with it. We're doing it together. It's like if you have input of ideas, I'm going to be accepted. I'm like, no, I'm not going to rewrite it. No, I'm not. I'm open to it. because sometimes the ideas that someone might have might be the like, wow, why didn't I think about that? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And there were meetings beforehand, and I wasn't willing to change like direction because I I just knew I was open to ideas. I wasn't giving creative freedom
Mm,
because this really was me telling my story. I
right.
could understand if it was like a project, a
Mhm.
collective, something like that, but like I really needed it, and I was hesitant to work with men. I
Mm,
really wanted it to be a story, and that's where some of that like um that energy was coming from, where like, well, when I look at a documentary it looks like this, or when I, you know, look mean, make a mean face, these things were coming from, and that was like where I was not comfortable with that, and that was exactly what I didn't want, and that's why I needed to like I had to fight for my vision.
yeah.
And sometimes you have to do that. And like you said, these are your friends, these are people you work with, these are people, and it's not that I didn't get beautiful shots, and it's not that I didn't trust that they knew what they were doing when it came to filming. I just needed them to stand in my shoes and see what I was trying to get. You know what I mean? And not what you've already seen, not what you expect girls to look like when they're strong. Like I really needed somebody who was going to be comfortable trusting what I was trying to like the message that I was trying to
Yeah.
like convey. Um, I worked with an editor, young kid, um, new to something like this, who really allowed me to like was really open to understanding what I was trying to portray.
Hmm.
And there was some pushback sometimes from him, and that's fine. You know what I mean? And I we just had to like talk about it a little bit more and be like, well, you know, this is why I this is what I want it to look like. And there was some times where he'd be like, "Oh, it'd be cool if we got some action shots." And I was like, "No, remember why I'm not doing that?" And we had to just go back to
Oh, I
like
see.
the why we're doing it this
Right.
way.
Yeah.
And yeah, like if people want to see action shots, they can look up roller derby on YouTube.
Well, true. Yeah.
And they can go to a game.
Yeah.
This is more about a story of women doing derby on the border and
Mhm.
the community of it, and them speaking to um, different subjects of how that has been part of their lives and why it's been part of their lives.
Mhm. And so the title Walls and Bridges, what is that? Like, what's the definition of that for the film?
Awesome. I'm glad you asked that. I would have forgotten to explain that. Walls and bridges is definitely vocabulary we use here living on the border.
Okay.
Walls and bridges is also vocabulary that we use on the track in roller derby.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So, yeah, so it's a terminology that we use when we wall up. It's
Mm.
when we're trying to block the opposing jammer.
Oh,
And so when we bridge is when we're still trying to block the opposing jammer, but so say your jammer is advancing on the track, we like skate in like 10 feet increments, right? So like um, a little derpy uh, cliff notes or whatever explanation.
okay.
So you have two teams on the track at one time,
Okay.
two sets of blockers, right, from each team, and two jammers from each team, and the jammer makes the points.
Okay.
So each pack, which is the blockers, is trying to block the opposing jammer. So uh, if the jammer starts to break through the pack, then the pack will split up a little bit
Mm.
to stop the jammer. But
Okay.
if she were to advance more than 10 feet and you're chasing her, and like half of the pack is from like the other team is here and the other one's here, they'll call a no pack. and you have to let the jammer go because you have to stay together. Like the game stays in like a pack throughout, like around the track. You don't have like a little snake
Oh, I
chain
see.
thing happening.
Yeah.
And so in order to continue to stay in play,
Hmm.
you need to like kind of bridge where like you have one skater like holding the 10-foot point and like
Hmm.
bridging, spreading their arms out like this, like we're still close to the pack, we're still part of this pack over here, and then another girl will drop off and bridge, and then another girl until like, you're just trying to
Wow.
stop the jammer from advancing. So it's like a lot of fun. But so that's a bridge. And so walls and bridges are both terms here on the border. And
Interesting.
here,
I like
yeah,
I actually want to go and see it for myself. I was like, I want to check
yeah.
that out. That's cool.
There's a game in June.
I heard, I think Fish told me it was June 21st.
Sure.
All
Fish
right.
probably knows more than I do.
I
I've
was
been
like, okay.
roughing this season, so
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I want to get hit anymore
Mm.
because yeah, I've been doing it derby a long time.
Oh, you have?
And
How long?
since 2008, I was
Oh,
30
wow.
years old. I'm 47 now. It's a long time.
That is a
So I am at a point where like I would like to play like home games and be soft and easy with it, you know what I mean? Positional blocking, not going all balls out, just for fun.
yeah.
But you can't really control the way people are going to show up on the track, and derby is there for everybody. And just because I want to play soft, it doesn't mean everybody else is going to play nice. You know what I mean? If people
Well,
are
that's
there
true.
to like, yeah, and they have every right to. So I'd rather just ref, which means I get to skate every single jam
Mm.
and throughout the whole game, and nobody hits me, and it's great. So that's
Well,
where I'm at now. But I still love it and continue to want to be a part of it.
well, I'm glad you're still a part of it and that you love it.
Thanks.
And thanks for sharing the story behind Walls and Bridges. See, I'm glad I asked because I mean, I was like, oh, wow, I'm glad I asked because that's really cool to know.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked too, because it's really important. I think I
Yeah.
do mention it in the beginning of the film. But yeah, I would like people who want to go watch it and watch this podcast
Okay.
to know where that comes from. So good question. I like
Yeah, yeah.
that.
Now my next big question is when is this film premiering at the festival
It's premiering
or show?
on the
Yeah.
yeah, on the 8th. Yeah, it's
Okay.
like the world premiere. I think Femme
Wait, is it
Frontera is.
really the world premiere?
Yeah.
Oh wow, congrats.
Mm,
Okay.
thanks. um yeah, it's going to be at the Mexican American Cultural Center
Okay.
on June 8th. I believe it shows it looks like it's the beginning of a block for like a border theme.
Okay.
Um at 4:15, I believe, in the
Okay.
afternoon, something like that. But I mean, anybody who's going to go should go the whole day and watch all the
Oh yeah.
exhibitions. I mean, both days.
Yeah.
The festival starts on the 7th and then up until the 8th.
Yes, spend the whole day watching great short films created by skilled directors and writers. Just don't forget your
Yeah,
popcorn.
yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'll be there both
Awesome.
days, all day.
Great. Well,
Mhm.
I will be there for the after party because I'm going out of town for 6 days. So when I come back, I have to go to work because it's like 6 days on vacation. But I did talk to Ryan Rocks, and she told me you're welcome to come to the after party and meet your guests that you interviewed. I was like, okay, thank God. Like, I want to at least meet, who I'm interviewing in person. So
Yeah, but is that going to be Saturday evening?
I believe so. Yeah, Saturday night
Mhm.
after I don't know what time it starts. I know the event starts at 7 for the showings, but I think it's probably after 9 for the after party.
Mm.
Yeah, so. But yeah, I look forward to meeting you and just like yeah, just get to know more of your story. So I think it's
Yeah,
a different experience in person than it is on Zoom. But
yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But, well, Deanna,
Yeah,
for them. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like I don't know how late I'll stay out.
Oh,
I'm not an after party kind of person, but I'll try to stay a little while or at least be there in the beginning because
okay. Well, I mean, if I hope to meet you. I mean,
yeah, it would be great. It would be cool. Yeah, I'm just yeah, or I mean maybe you're gonna work Sunday also?
yeah,
Probably. Yeah.
but I mean, I get off a little earlier on Sunday, so and the thing is, my past two interviewers that my guests that I've had, they're from Mexico, and so they're going to other film festivals, and that's why they couldn't make it to this film festival. I was like, oh, that's a bummer. I'm not gonna meet you,
Mm,
you know. So I was like, I hope I meet someone at least. So,
Fish will be there for sure.
oh yeah, yeah. Fishman did mention, yeah,
So I'll
but
be there. Yeah, no, I mean, I will show up. I don't know. Yeah, depending on what time it starts
that's
and
fine.
stuff.
Now,
But yeah, I would like to meet you.
do you
But
have a
yeah,
poster of your film?
I like
I mean,
no, not an official one. I
oh,
don't.
okay.
Like I've been trying to like look for something. It's my first time making like a media kit
Oh, I see. Okay.
and I don't even yeah, it's all new to me.
No, it's fine. The reason why
So
I asked is because I was like, maybe I can get a little flyer or a poster, souvenir.
that would be cool. I was wanting to make some bandanas, some walls and
Oh, that's
bridges
cool.
bandanas. So like if I do that, I'll make sure that you get one.
Yes, please. I would love to represent your film. Be awesome.
That would be dope.
All right.
I would appreciate
Well,
it.
for the for the viewers to find you on social media, how can they find you?
Um, on Instagram, I'm Melaza del Deserto, which is molasses of the desert.
Okay.
Like I said, everything moves very slow, especially me. And on Facebook, I am Deana Ortega.
On Facebook? Okay.
There's also a Walls and Bridges doc
Oh, okay.
Instagram. hmm
Oh, there is. Okay.
That was mostly set up for people who were going to be in the film,
Oh,
so I could just post there where we were meeting up and stuff. But I'll probably start sharing more of the events that Walls and Bridges does onto that page. So
okay.
if anybody wants to follow Walls and Bridges doc on Instagram, that'd be great.
Well, great. Yeah. And I hope everyone can, or those that could try to go to the film fest and see this film. That's really cool. And I'm really curious, real quick, before we end this episode, how long did it take you to make this film? The process of everything.
A long time. It was.
Like, whoa.
I'm embarrassed to say, but it's very relevant, especially for people who want to make film and maybe feel discouraged. There was a point where I was like, I'm just going to give the grant money back. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't
Okay.
like. So it took maybe a year and a half,
Well, that's not bad.
maybe a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah, I got it. I mean, they moved the date, but like it was a while. A lot of it was like transcribing these interviews, and I had 5 at the time.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then after having a meeting with Femme Frontera, they said maybe just like only using 1 or 2, maybe
Oh,
3. And so I did use 3 because it just rounded it out. And so like a lot of my work was like a rocking chair. It was like I felt like I was moving, but I wasn't like going anywhere.
okay.
And so once I was able to kind of like, I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to tell the story, and like at one point, really close to the time that it was going to need to be ready.
Okay.
I, it took a long time until the very end. Everything came together.
Okay.
So that's how it ended out. And so I ended up doing chapters, and chapters was my way. That was my aha moment, and I was able to like, yes, chapters, this is
Yeah.
how I'm gonna do it. So I
Interesting.
really hope
All right.
people like it. Yeah, it was really it was a yeah, it was I have stories and screenplays written from beginning to start, and I can see scenes and I know how they're going to go. But this was very, very different. This was
Yeah.
like, I have this really good stuff and I need to show people, but it has to make sense. Like,
Yeah.
without them having to watch like all three interviews, which are on YouTube, by the way, if they want to watch the whole interviews,
Oh, cool.
under my Derby Romance podcast
Okay.
on YouTube on my channel. Um, so yeah, those interviews, those full interviews are there, and like, yeah. So how do I tell this story? How do I make this documentary without basically just showing these three interviews? You know what I mean? Like cutting them down and like telling a story with them. It was really, I was very challenged by it. I don't know if it's easy for anybody, but it
Yeah.
wasn't for me.
Well, you mentioned you have your own podcast?
I stopped doing it once the world opened up again and people were able to
Oh.
skate because I felt like it didn't really need to exist anymore. But
Oh,
it
okay.
was, yeah, I got to interview 27 skaters from all over the world.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was amazing. A lot of people answered to the call.
That's
I have put
cool.
it on this really difficult platform that's very scary called Derby Hell.
Okay.
And if you're on Derby Hell, it's usually not for a good reason.
Mm.
Um, but it was one of the biggest platforms with the most skaters. So I was like, I'm gonna do this, and I just put a, there was a lot of dumpster fires on there, and people just like very angry and not being able to skate. And I was
Oh,
just
wow.
like, I'm gonna put this on there, and I was like, hey, I'm creating a podcast based on like some of the things that I talk about in my book, My Derby Romance. Anybody who wants to participate in it, like it would be through Zoom, and I would like to hear your stories. And I had I had planned to do an interview like every other weekend,
Okay.
and I got booked for like the entire year in a
Wow.
weekend. Yeah, it was like people were really like Australia. There was a girl named Pulp Friction, and all the names, right?
What?
Derby
That's
names are
cool.
like so amazing. I love Derby names. Pulp
Should
Friction from Australia. There was like Betty White Trash. There was like
Betty
so
White.
many
Yes, that's
people.
funny.
Betty White Trash. She was so fun. Yeah, there was other like book authors, derby authors from like I can't remember where
Wow.
he was from, but somewhere like some English or British, something like that. Oh, I hate that I'm saying it like that. I wish I was more correct. Transgender skaters and whatnot. I mean, a lot from all over the country, but there were a lot of people that were overseas and whatnot, and it was really beautiful. And um, I was really like surprised by how many people were willing to allow me to. I guess I gave them a platform to tell their stories,
Yeah.
and a lot of the time people were like, "I'm really glad that you did this," because they kind of forgot why they loved Derby so much, and
Mm.
some of these questions really prompted them to like dig deep and be like, "Hell yeah, I'm still a badass," and that's why I do Derby,
There
man.
you go.
And
They
yeah,
remember. Well, I really feel like you should resurrect your podcast and bring it back on. So you should.
I'll get some tips from you.
You should bring it back.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, okay, guys, it's back. Booked for another year.
maybe.
Why
That would
not? I
be fun.
mean,
It's
you
a
have a
lot of
film.
work. What you do is a lot of work.
Yeah, I can say it is. But it's fun. It gives me something to look forward to after work. I have my own Clark Kent job that I do on the side, and then this is my job when I'm outside of that. So, well, I don't see it as a job. I see it as my calling, my passion. So that's
Yeah, you do
one
very
of
well.
them. It's not my main, it's one of them. Because I'm also a musician. I'm also a filmmaker. So I always try to stay busy. So,
Yeah, it makes life so much more fun when you're doing what you love, when you're
of course.
creating, right? I saw
Yes.
this one message. It says, if you're not creating, you're consuming.
Mm.
And a lot of people are consumers because
Mm.
they're not creating. And
Oh,
so it really spoke to me like, yeah, I like
yeah.
doing a lot of things too, you know?
Yeah.
I just wrote a kid's book.
Oh, you did?
Um,
Oh, cool.
yeah, yeah.
Dang, all this stuff I want to know now. I'm all like, but there's no much time. I'm like, dang it.
No worries, man. We'll stay in touch, and I really
But
want to hear about your project.
oh, thanks.
Yeah, your film project sounds interesting and fun. And I want to continue to watch your podcasts. I want to
Well,
see what's up
thank
with these original
you.
podcasts.
Appreciate the support. Yes, the slogan is always live the impossible. That's the slogan
Nice.
for Rhythm and Roads. And what I mean by that's not saying do something crazy that's gonna get like no harm, okay? Like, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying do something that's gonna challenge you in a way that you've never been challenged before, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually at times. I mean, sometimes we need to wake up. We're caught in this cycle of routine that like there's more to life than
Mhm.
this. Like this is not me.
Absolutely.
I wasn't born on this earth just to just get by and just be, nonchalant and like no, like do something to wake you up to be like, whoa, I'm living. And I'm
Do
not
you like
saying
to
use
read?
sorry.
Do you like to read? I'm sorry, I didn't
Oh
mean to
yeah,
interrupt.
no, I do. Yeah, I like to read nonfiction books more than fiction.
Yeah. There's what I listen to audiobooks a lot because I don't really
Oh,
have
do
time
you?
to like sit down
Okay.
and read. And I'm like one of those people, like I want things I can wait on things, but I like information wise, I just want it to like be in my head. So I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Okay.
One of the ones that my friend recommended to me was Big Magic. Have you read Big Magic?
I have not or heard of it. No.
Um, so it's this author who talks about how ideas are living entities.
Oh, okay.
And we have I know as creators we have like experienced this so many times where we think like, "Oh my God, that's a great idea, and I'm not gonna forget it." Like, how could I forget this idea? Like, it's like amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you try to remember it, you're like, "Where did it go?" And so like
Yeah, that's
her
true.
yes, and like
Yeah.
people saying like, "Don't you hate that? Don't you hate when you're like,
Yeah.
no, you're not in a position to write it down anywhere, whatever." And you're like, "But I'm not gonna like say, certain things like poems, where I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a great line. I'm gonna
Yeah.
remember that, and I don't, and I'm like, shit, it's gone and it's gone forever."
Yeah. Huh.
So like it's called Big Magic, and she talks about how ideas are these living entities that jump from person to person, seeing who will like birth them.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and so I really do see that because, like, they're like little downloads, right? Like, they're like, "Where did that come from?"
Yeah.
Like, I have this La Llorona story with a twist that, like, I was like, "There's no way that's mine." That's like, I didn't come up with that. I don't think about La Llorona. I don't like she wasn't, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
it was just like this idea, and when I
Yeah.
tell people it, like I had to like write it out right away because I was like, nope, this one's mine. This was my download. This one was for me. I'm gonna birth it.
Yeah.
And so that's like the next project that I want to work on. And I think I'm gonna do like stop motion or is that yeah. I want to there's this friend of mine, she does really cute like animations like that.
Oh, that's
Anyway,
cool.
yeah, and, anyway, so I read this book and it was like, yeah, if you don't do anything with it, they'll jump to somebody else. Like, they're not gonna die.
Mhm.
They're gonna die with you if you don't, like, do something with
Right.
them, but they'll
Yeah.
go to somebody else. And these, like, authors talking about, like, there was this one poet who was saying that when a poem was coming, she could feel it. It was almost like a horse that was running towards her.
Dang.
And so, like, if she was outside or something, she was doing something, she could feel it coming and she'd like run in the house to go get a pen and paper so that she wouldn't lose it. And she says that there's been times where she felt like she had to like grab it before it ran past her and like hold on
Dang.
to it. It's such an interesting book. It's free on YouTube. It's called Big Magic. It's so cool.
Big
And it just
magic.
makes
Okay.
you more like, it makes you more, what's the word? Um, I guess purposeful in capturing those ideas.
Yeah.
Intentional. I was looking for the word
Intentional.
intentional. It makes you more intentional in wanting to like
Right.
capture those ideas because you when you see them as these living entities that want to be part of the world, that are here for like a reason, like wanting to be that vessel to birth them, and you know what? They're not for everybody, and there's times where you just have to say, like, "Not for me, boo boo, not today." You know what I mean? Like, go move on, because I
Yeah.
don't have space and time for that. But like,
Did you say boo boo?
Yeah, I did.
Like, did you actually call it boo boo? Not for me, boo boo.
Go for me, boo boo.
Oh, that was
Sorry.
funny. I was like, okay, cool.
Yes,
Yeah,
you're
all
cute
right.
and all, but I cannot do this
Like, wow,
other
you have a
thing.
name for it. Oh, you're cool.
Yeah, I have to talk to them sometimes. But
Mhm.
yeah, and also I read somebody who said like, because I do have a lot of ideas that like not to die with them,
Mm,
give them to other people because they're here and they're good ideas. Maybe
right,
you can't always like execute them, but give them to other people
right.
so that they can do them. So that yeah. Hmm.
Interesting. Wow. Yeah, I've never heard that. I guess ways of getting ideas that's thrown at you, as in like, hey, if you're not going to do it, they will. But it's very
Yeah.
true. That is very true because great minds think alike, and I've noticed certain um, people mention like, "Wow, I had similar idea like that." Oh, did like same? And then you're like, you wonder like, "Wow, it's interesting, right?"
Well, yeah, in this book, she talks about a transfer of idea.
Mm,
So, like, she meets this other author, and she had been sitting on a book for like 2 years, and she didn't have time to write it. And she met this other author at like this convention or whatever,
hmm.
and they exchanged a kiss, and they were like friends. Um, they were like friends, but like they lived in different cities.
Wow.
And
Okay.
and then one day they're catching up and she had never told her about this book and this girl's like, dude, I just finished writing this book, and it was like almost verbatim the story
Wow.
that she had wanted to write like 2 years prior, except for like a few minor things, and she really feels like the message passed through the
Wow.
kiss. Yeah, I mean it's
That's
a true
crazy.
story. Like that's she lived that, and that's when she started to realize that these were like
Dang.
living entities. Yeah, it's really cool.
Interesting. Very, very cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, I also am a strong believer of like the energy of positivity. Because as I mean, yeah, you just can really feel the vibe, the energy, right? And you're just like, man, but I really feel like living the impossible is really just help others too, not just about yourself, but if someone is going through a hard time and you're doing great, and you feel great, why not give your time and see what they might need, Because sometimes
Mhm.
that's what we're also here for is to give a helping hand and just be there to listen. And I'm not saying I don't ever, I'm talking for myself too, but there's times where you go to Starbucks, right? And you're there and we're on the phone and waiting for our drink, but there could be a stranger right next to you and you just, hey, how's your day going? That simple question just can go a long way. You don't have to be friends or make a friend. Maybe you will. I don't know. But just that question, just, oh, it's good. How's yours? And all of a sudden, just good. All right. And then get your coffee. Hey, good talking to you. How it going? And they'll be like, dang, I just spoke to a person. The
Mhm.
joke, because, we're always on our
I
phones.
do. I love being kind, especially for people who are like serving me or like working or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really, I really do enjoy being kind. I don't know why people like being mean. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like so much more fulfilling to like make somebody's day if possible. Being helpful.
Of course.
Um, mhm. And you can really tell a lot by a person by the way they treat people, like in drive-throughs or like at service counters and things like that. Like,
Very true.
mhm.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoyed this interview. It was such a pleasure, Deanna. Thank you so much.
Same. Thank
Uh,
you so much. I appreciate
It was
your
fun.
time.
Yeah. It was like, I didn't even think it was going to go this long, but I was like, cool. So,
I'm sorry. I
no,
hope you
I'm
didn't have
glad.
somebody right.
There's a lot of helpful information, great information, and I enjoyed it. So it was very, very good.
One
But
thing
yes,
I
was
one
that?
thing I didn't mean to like the camera crew that I worked with are in my credits, and I don't know how to talk about the experience that I had without shining them in a bad light. You know what I mean? I really did appreciate their experience, and maybe we didn't have the same vision, but like, yeah, I don't want to say anything like badly about.
No, I mean, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
I
good.
just,
You're
I
just
guess,
sharing your experience. Yeah.
yeah, and it really kind of sucks, you know what I mean? Because I don't want to like sugarcoat the fact that those things happen because I think they're relevant. but I also it didn't go well. You know what I mean? Like it
I
didn't go
mean,
well.
you're speaking
And then
truth, so
and later on I did, it didn't go well that time, but then we went back. I think once I had, you know what it was? Once I had like taken I was gonna have them help me shoot and edit. And once I said, you know what, I'll edit, just get me the shots,
okay.
then the direction changed where they were able to just give me the shots that I asked for. Because we had talked about shots prior, but I think when this person was trying to figure out how they were gonna edit this footage, I feel like they wanted to like possibly put this thing together and then show it to me and I was going to sign off on it. And me being the filmmaker and me getting this grant made me like I felt like I needed to be part of everything
I
and
see.
that I couldn't just get like back some like footage and be all like, "Oh, I love it," which I probably would have. You know what I mean? I'm almost positive I would have, but it wouldn't have been mine. I
Mm,
really needed it to be something that I started and was part of through the whole process
right.
because of the grant that I had gotten,
I see.
because it was my name that was supposed to be on it. You know what I mean? Like, and so that's where I think that they were used to being like hired, doing a job, and then presenting it and asking, "Do you want any changes?" Blah blah blah. And that wasn't how this was gonna like work for
Yeah.
this project because
Right.
of the way that it was being funded and the way that I had received this grant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Interesting. Okay.
so once I was like, you know what, don't worry about the editing, just get me the shots. Everything was great. You know what I mean? Like the second shoot that we did was like cool. And I was like, yeah, be creative, just get those shots. Like get me these for sure, because these are the ones that I need. But if you have time to shoot these girls a different way or whatever, let's do it. So it
Okay.
took off a lot of the pressure. And I
Well,
think that,
good.
yeah, sorry. I
Well,
just
no, that's fine. Good way to end.
great people
That's fine. No, yeah. I mean, thanks for sharing that. But yes, check out Deanna's film Walls and Bridges at the Femme Frontera Festival this year. June 7th and 8th is the festival, but your premiere is on the 8th, right?
on the 8th.
Yeah. So
We're
that's
on
gonna
4
be
o'clock.
fun. Exciting, the world premiere, right?
Yes.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
cool. All right, Deanna, it was such a pleasure to have you on Rhythm and Roads. And guys, feel free to please like and subscribe to Rhythm and Roads on the YouTube. Plus, if you'd like to follow me on Instagram, it's Rhythm and Roads Official. If you'd like to share your story, you're always welcome to share your story because I think I believe every story matters. And so if you have a story to share, come on and share it. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you, Deanna, for coming on.